You know, I've known you for many, many years. I've known you since you were 16, and we've been friends all that time. I never ever, you see, thought that you were an alcoholic. I thought you were a very heavy drinker at times, a social drinker, but not an alcoholic. Yet you say you are.
Yeah, I think really you hide it from friends. I think, you know, what was happening, whereas if you and I'd go out for a drink and have a real nice evening, you know, you'd go home to the wife and kids, I'd go out to a light drinking spot. I think the longest time it was 22 days drinking solidly, without food. That's when I figured there was a problem. And it's actually, it's not a problem. I'm an alcoholic.
Well, having just released a book about George Best's life, Sir Michael Parkinson joins me now, and it's so good to see you. George Best, a memoir. You were really good mates for such a long time.
We were a lifetime, actually. Yeah. I was like his sort of elder brother, I think, basically. Yeah. But you were just remarking how good-looking he was.
Yes, and you too.
Did you fancy him when you were...
Both, oh, everybody did.
Yes, he did.
Everybody did. He
was.
And he was utterly, utterly charming.
Yes,
I mean, a flawed man,
yeah.
but a good man.
Yeah, I think so, basically. He was a sick man.
Yeah.
That's what we forget about him. He wasn't just a big drinker. He was a chronic alcoholic.
Yeah.
And nobody quite understood that, so it was too late.
No.
In those days, it wasn't really understood as it is now.
But look, what a magician. He just was absolutely extraordinary.
Well, you see this, and in those days, remember, of course, you know, they're playing on different pitches, obviously, sometimes quagmires, playing against defenders who were allowed to kick them and all that sort of thing. Today's have it easy compared to what George
compared to that, that's for sure. But he used to come round to your house, he would stay with you, he would do kickabout with your son.
Yeah,
he
became a friend of all the family. The thing about George was that, you know, people assume that when he came down to our house, we had thousands of stars around and that sort of thing. We did it on 2 occasions, and he was bored absolutely out of his mind. All he ever wanted was to play football with my 3 boys.
I know.
And they did, and they had a wonderful time. You know, Michael, my son, writes a wonderful piece in the book about playing football with him. The name of the game was Get the Ball Off George Best, and nobody achieved it.
But then he would be going into school telling people
Well, that's what they did. I mean, he went back to school, Michael, one day, and went to junior school, and the nun asked him, you know, all the kids, what do you do at the weekend? They all said, oh, I went to the zoo and all that. And George said, Miss, I played football with George Best. And she said, don't be silly. I mean, don't tell Fid. She said,
don't be ridiculous.
And she gave him detention. And he told George about this, and George signed a football to her, saying it was true, he did play football.
It was true, he absolutely did. And, I mean, from he was a teenager, you knew him, right up until the very last
17,
interview.
I first met him.
But right up to the last interview, and that must have been a hard one to do. Did you realise then just how ill he was?
Yeah, I sort of thought that in that period of time, that every interview you did with him was the last one, you know. And it was strange because I wrote this book in a sense out of guilt because I didn't say goodbye to him because we had drifted apart. I mean, George never liked me seeing him like that.
Right.
And I didn't want to see him like that. So, you know, for 2 years, we had not a standoff at all, but we still talked to each other. But it wasn't like it used to be. It wasn't like going out drinking, having a meal and all that sort of stuff. Not that at all.
No, it was. I mean, the end was so sad. It really was sad. And that's why I really like this book, because you do remember he was a really funny guy, as well as being incredibly talented.
It was a great interview. I mean, you interviewed him.
Amazing,
and he was bright and funny and intelligent, all those things. And it all adds up to that sense you have of what a terrible waste it was, in a sense. Except when you see him play, when you see the few kind of indifferent shots there are in playing football, you begin to understand that he was the greatest player that I ever saw, certainly. And Matt Busby, I asked Matt, because Matt felt the same about George, and I said, why, what do you base that opinion on? It's a very high opinion. And he said, because in every position, he was the best player in my books.
Wow.
And you can't think of that could be said of any footballer playing today.
No.
But in every position, they're the best player.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And it's just lovely. I know you did one of these on Muhammad Ali as well. Yeah. And you have interviewed everybody who's anybody, apart from Barbra Streisand. You didn't do...
Streisand we never got hold of because we tried every time, but she would always insist that we went to Paris to do the interview, God knows why. And we always said, well, it's not a movable feast, the show. You know, we can't take the studio to Paris.
Exactly.
You've got to come in and walk down those stairs. But she never did. I would love to have interviewed her. I saw a documentary about her lately, and she was a fascinating woman. I would never mind being a great singer.
You still could. I would like to see that, the two of you. I would really, especially now, I think it would be even more fascinating.
Can you fix it?
I'll try my best. I'll see what I can do. But it would be fantastic. Would you like to interview Trump again?
Again, I never interviewed Trump.
Oh, I thought you hadn't.
No, I haven't. No.
Was he somebody on the list?
Well, I mean, no, it would be, but I'm not doing it anymore, love, you know, at all. I'm really not.
I wish you would. I could see, like, big, you know, like, proper half-hour specials, you and big figures of the day. I know you've done it, I know you've done it, but to do it again, I think there is definitely...
I'm more fascinated by those I did interview. I'm more fascinated by the fact that it seems to me that there aren't those kind of opportunities for that kind of person around there. I think they're around. I think the shows don't exist, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
in a sense, to do that long interview,
Yeah.
you know, the half an hour, 40-minute one or whatever. And I think that's a pity.
It is a pity.
I think there's still people there, fascinating people.
Absolutely.
You could name them, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You'd love to sit down for half an hour with.
I mean, your show, you know, you got such an insight into these people. You always got right under there, and you could find out so much more about them.
Yeah, but it's kind of to say so. But with him, you know, I mean, the sadness of him was that, you know, I was his mate, I was his pal, and I felt, in a sense, in the end, like a lot of us did, that we let him down. But because we should have advised him better, maybe, and stopped him. But you couldn't do that with him. He was set on the path, and he was ill and sick. He was a chronic alcoholic, and, you know, there's no you could do. And by the time we understood what the problem was with our friend, it was too late.
It was too late.
Yeah.
It is very, very sad. But we can celebrate him in this. We really can. George Bester memoir is out right now. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Absolute honour to have you sitting on that chair opposite me.
Well, normally we do it from a taxi, don't we?
Yes, we did that last year. That was hilarious. That was so funny. That was so funny. That will go down as my... Yes, it's one of my favourites. Thank you so much.